All right, this is Linda Water-Nelson from Auto Travel TV inside the 2012 Ford Focus with Chris Julianis, who's in engineering for Ford Motor Company, and we're at the Romeo Proving Grounds doing a fuel efficiency test on the Ford Focus versus the Hyundai Elantra. And Chris, tell me a little bit about the equipment and what you attempt to do. Why is it different than what the average consumer would have in their automobile?
Well, this is a AVL fuel meter. They run about $100,000 for the unit, so they're quite expensive. It's a volume-based flow meter that we're using here, and you can normally get the information off of the instrument cluster, but because manufacturers measure fuel economy with different algorithms, we figured this would be the easiest way to keep the comparison as a direct heads-up comparison between the two manufacturers.
Now, you have me driving at a consistent 45 miles an hour, and I did the same on the Hyundai Elantra. Is there a reason for that particular speed level, or is it simply to keep a consistency between the tests?
Well, the marketing people chose 45. I was told that between some of the national highway safety numbers and the insurance numbers, they said 47.5 miles per hour was a national average speed that is typically driven by most consumers. So we picked 45 as a nice round number right next to it.
Now, are there any particular differences between the Focus and the Elantra? And why was the Elantra picked as the comparison car?
Well, my understanding is that the Hyundai Elantra was chosen because it's boasting a 40 mile per gallon label, which is in the same window that the Focus is at. And what we wanted to demonstrate was that the real world fuel economy between the two vehicles, even though they have the same label, will be significantly different. The difference between our product and their product is this vehicle has the active grille shutters.
Are we done?
Going straight through. Continue.
Oh, sorry.
It's we're actually measuring the fuel economy on this lap right now. So we have the active grille shutters on our vehicle, which helps with the aerodynamics for the overall fuel efficiency. There's going to be some differences in the tire rolling resistance as well as the aerodynamics.
Now, if an individual had two cars in their household and wanted to try this themselves, could they do it using their own fuel efficiency information from the cluster on their automobile?
It would be close, but it wouldn't be as precise.
Are there any other things we should know about this vehicle in terms of how it gets this 40 mile an hour plus capability?
Well, this engine has the independent variable cam timing for an i4 engine, which is a new feature, and that's one of our biggest engine technologies. We also have the power shift transmission, which is a manual transmission that shifts as an automatic. So this transmission, the internals to this transmission are actually very similar to a transmission if you were doing just manual shifting. The reason for that is it has lower parasitic losses. You don't have the hydraulic circuitry in the clutches, and so it's a more efficient package all in all from a mechanical perspective.
Now, would I get similar kinds of numbers if I were going to compare this with other 40 mile per gallon efficiency on other vehicles from other manufacturers who are claiming those kind of numbers?
Well, that I guess I'm not in the position. I really don't have enough experience to speak to that.
Now, if you were giving me tips on how to get best fuel mileage out of an automobile as a consumer, what kind of tips would you give me?
Constant throttle setting. You wouldn't want to be stepping on the pedal and tipping in and out on a regular basis. You want to keep it as constant as possible and let your speed vary a little bit. That way you're going to keep the engine in about the same condition, the same operating range all the time as far as the load. You also want to avoid as much upshifting and downshifting. The biggest thing is paying attention to your braking. don't accelerate up to a brake and then a stop sign and then slam on the brakes, and also don't accelerate hard necessarily all the time. You want to drive a little softer, you know, with your foot on the pedal.
Well, that's great tips. Thank you for the help, and it should help consumers know how to get the best mileage out of their vehicle, since they can't get on this route and try it the other way.